maybe just give a brief overview of what was Accuray Cytometers.
So Accuray was a startup company that started out by licensing a technology out of the University of Michigan Tech Transfer in 2005. We originally began by renting about 150 square feet out of another startup company's space. Turns out 10 years later, that other startup company would be my third startup company. The company developed a flow cytometer. We developed a flow cytometer that could sell for about $30,000 versus the standard $100,000 plus flow cytometer. We were able to enter the market with a product that met 90% of the objectives of the functionality of the product at about a quarter of the price and about a quarter of the size as well. It was about the size of a microwave. We were able to, the tagline for Accuray Cytometers was flow cytometer for all. And at the $30,000 price point, we were able to access markets that were previously unattainable due to the financial impact.
Good. So tell us about what was your role. What did you do at Accuray?
Sure. So my role at Accuray was I was the first employee after the founders, and I held roles in engineering, manufacturing, and supply chain. I had the fortunate ability to grow with the company. So as the company grew and each one of those different departments grew, I was able to join them. I got to wear many hats along the way.
Yeah, that's great. Okay, show of hands. Who knows what a flow cytometry is? Okay, so we got about half the room. So Becky, what is flow cytometry?
Wow, I got to tell you, I'm impressed. So a flow cytometer is a piece of laboratory equipment that basically takes cells, lines them up single-filely as you take it through a fluidic path across lasers and detectors. And then you shoot the laser across the single-file line of cells, and you use the detectors to determine different physical and chemical characteristics of the cells from size, shape, and fluorescent markings.
That's great. We'll have a quiz on that later, I guess. So one of the things I think that, every startup that goes through typically has to create a prototype, right? So they're developing a prototype. What was the first prototype like?
Oh, wow. Our first prototype came right out of Home Depot. We used a piece of plywood that was about 2 feet by 3 feet in size, and we actually put mechanical components on that. But the amazing thing is we were able to prove the technology well enough to get an additional round of angel funding at that time. So just by that piece of plywood, we were able to get the funding to move forward. Our second prototype, however, got a little bit better, and we put that one into a computer case.
Very good. So get the prototype done. What do you think it was that made this product successful? What was the development that made it successful?
Yeah, I think the product development was really successful. I think primarily because of the relationships we had with our vendors. We actually partnered with one of the local machine shops, and we had a local designer who was working for us almost around the clock to not only design the parts but also build the parts. So we also had serious relationships with the laser manufacturers and the detector manufacturers so that we had supply stateside at all times so that we could meet the continuity of needs of the research and development. It took years of research and development, about 3 years, in the areas of engineering, mechanical engineering, electrical engineering, fluidics, optical engineering, and software engineering. But I think another one of the key aspects that made Accuray so successful was the CTO had an amazing ability to combine all of the different areas of expertise and keep a singular focus on the prize, which was to develop that flow cytometer.
Very good. So strong leadership helped, definitely.
Oh, absolutely strong leadership and incredible brains.
So how long after the company launched did it take to get that first product out the door?
So the company launched in February of 2005, and we launched the commercial product in April of 2008. So just over 3 years is when we got the product to market. Now, the first commercial product was a research use only device. But it still achieved all of our goals of the functionality. And then the acquisition occurred about 3 years after the commercial launch.
That's great. So can you look back and see, are there key moments, key decisions that you think led to the success of this company?
Yes, I think one of the key aspects was that we made the minimum viable product, or the MVP. We decided to make it a research use only device instead of an FDA regulated device to start out. And the reason that assisted us is that we could do the design iterations that much faster. Not that we wanted to ignore quality and regulatory, but without having those additional hurdles, we could do things a lot faster. So I think that research use only really pushed us forward in the product development life cycle.
Yeah, that makes sense. So as a lot of startups, there's always this fear of, you live on the cutting edge of failure and success. When did you guys get a handle that this was going to be successful?
I think from my perspective, I felt that we were going to be successful when we finally had enough funding to get all the way through product launch or market launch. That's when I started to feel a lot more comfort.
That's great. And you talked about some of the external factors and the internal factors, having good leadership, people that were around you to kind of assist you in this process with your leaders, your CEO and leaders that were out there. It sounds like you had a lot of respect for them. They had a really good plan, strategy, mission at that point.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's great. So, all right, to the real question, what was the eventual outcome? What happened?
Well, let's see. After two CEOs, first we had two CEOs over 8 years. One of them was set up to build the company, and the second one was set up to sell the company. So after those few years, the CEO came in to sell the company, and we sold to Becton Dickinson in 2011 for over $200 million with a 5-to-1 return on investment, accomplished with no more than a Series C financing round. And interestingly, that year we won the Best Large Deal of the Year by Crain's M&A Awards in Detroit, Michigan.
Now, if I remember, there's a funny story about that event that you had at Crain's.
Yeah, so I showed up to the Crain's event awards ceremony, and I get there, and I'm sitting with the CEO's wife, and we have the exact same dress on from only one store in the local town. So we had acquired the same dress for the same event. A little embarrassing.
That's great. So what's the biggest lesson, the biggest takeaway that I think would be beneficial for everyone to hear that you take away from Accuray?
I would say persistence through the good, the bad, and the ugly. Keeping your focus on the prize, which was for us to sell the company. And then I think surrounding yourself with the right people and the right skills at the right time. And that includes the right CEO at the right time.
That's great.